Tua Tagovailoa, he's the problem in Miami. Everybody wants to say it's Mike McDaniel. Everybody wants to say it's the coach and his capri pants, and he's trying to be too cool for school. And I'm not suggesting that Mike McDaniel isn't a problem, because he is. But the bigger problem is Tua Tagovailoa. He is a shot fighter. They were in that game last night, to everyone's surprise. I think the spread on that game was 11.5, and it was 21-21 in the fourth quarter, and Buffalo ends up scoring the last 10 points of the game to win 31-21, and the Dolphins had a shot. They were driving. They were moving the ball, trying to tie it up late in the game, and Tua throws a horrendous interception. And for any of the laymen out there, you're watching, it's like, there we go. This is Tua. This is the real problem with the Miami Dolphins, and it's proof. Brian Flores is somewhere in Minnesota laughing his tail off. Brian Flores was the coach of the Dolphins and got crossways with Chris Greer, the general manager, because Brian Flores was not a Tua guy. And he was allegedly very abusive to Tua. Tua has talked about this. Teammates have talked about it. It ended up costing Brian Flores his job. And here we are 2 years later. And it may be, is it 3 years later now? It may be, Brian Flores may have been dead right about Tua Tagovailoa. The problem with the Dolphins is they got the fastest pair of receivers in the National Football League in Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill. And they got a quarterback who can't get him the ball downfield consistently enough. Tua doesn't challenge the entire football field. And that allows a defense to constrict and defend a smaller amount of the football field. And that's why the linebacker was able to say, hey, look, man, I know Tua ain't really going downfield. Let me jump this route, pick off this ball, basically end the game. And it's because Tua's arm strength and Tua's inability to run the ball, now that everybody knows he's Glass Joe and injury-riddled, he's just not enough of a threat from the quarterback position, either with the pass or with his legs, to make a defense defend the entire field. And that's why the linebacker jumped the route last night and ended the game. Tua Tagovailoa, and listen, I'm not a Mike McDaniel fan or supporter, and I'm going to play you a clip, and it's going to explain to you why. This guy's not a leader. But the quarterback is the real problem. I want to play you Mike McDaniel talking in the postgame about that interception. I want you to listen to Mike McDaniel, listen to the way he articulates and talks, and you're like, that's not a leader, but it's also a guy that, like, he's on a hot seat, and he's now pulling a Brian Flores and saying, it's that guy, Tua. Blame him to some, and it's the guy that they're saying a guy missed an assignment and Tua had a defender in his face. Anyway, let's play the clip.
I wanted to protect the ball. I wish I could, I think the quarterback has to be responsible for it. However, I wish I could just put it on him, but I think it's a tough job to do when there's someone in your face. We need everybody needs to do better. And we can't, if you got to ditch the ball to the flat in moments like that, and that's what we have to learn from.
Did that not sound like a head coach that expects a pink slip at some point today? I mean, that sounds like someone that knows he's drowning, knows that interception is like, okay, we just played on a Thursday. This would be the perfect time to fire me. We're 0-3. We've looked like trash. We came up here to Buffalo and played a really good game based on our standards. And then Tua wet the bed, and he's cost me my job. And so let me, I wish that let me just get through this press conference and prepare myself for Friday when I get this pink slip. Because, that sounded like a defeated coach. I can't guarantee the Dolphins are going to fire him today, but he basically made the argument, hey, guys, I know you're thinking about firing me, but this damn quarterback is killing me. Killing me. And put up the Emmanuel Acho clip so we can see the play again. Because here's my critique of Tua. Let's play the Acho clip again. One of these slot receivers or one of these receivers at the bottom of the screen, the middle slot, you see him streaking up. He's at the 40-yard line, I think. No, 20. He was at the 10-yard line. Yeah, he's streaking. And the Buffalo Bills have no respect for Tua to hit this guy down the seam that's streaking upfield. They don't believe it. They don't respect it. They don't think he can do it. And again, there's a defender in his face to some degree, and Tua is getting off the ball. But the field is constricted because no one trusts Tua's arm strength. They threw the ball 10 times to Tyreek Hill, who before Tua, when he was with Kansas City, he was tiny Randy Moss. He takes the top off the defense. He creates room for the running game. He creates room for the other receivers. He's so dangerous, and you're so afraid of him taking the top off the defense and getting behind the safeties that it dictates everybody else's coverage. And everybody knew, Patrick Mahomes, he's got the arm to get it. Wherever Tua wants to run. If Tua wants to run outside of the stadium, through the tunnel and outside the stadium, Patrick Mahomes could deliver him the football out in the parking lot. But with Tua, no one has that confidence, no one has that fear, and so they jump routes. They go with instincts. Like, what's Tua going to do here? Is he going to run the risk of trying to hit this streaking receiver down the seam in the middle of the field, or is he going to go to something hot, very quick, and underneath that's safe? He doesn't want to get hit, and he just doesn't have the arm strength, and he just hasn't been that accurate downfield. And so he tried to force the ball to Tyreek Hill all night, 10 targets, only 5 receptions. Tua is the problem. And this is where Kurt Warner is potentially right, that Tua is making the right read, but where Emmanuel Acho is right is, hey man, Tua is a problem. And that is the problem with the Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores saw it early and was right, got run out, lost his job. He got in a dispute with his black general manager, Chris Greer. And so Flores playing the race card on this whole situation is a joke about him getting fired and him suing the NFL. He got in a dispute about the quarterback, which he was right on, and the Dolphins have been proven wrong. But that's the price of sipping tea in China. Coaches and executives and ownership get in knockdown, drag-out fights over personnel. Chris Greer drafted Tua Tagovailoa, loyal to him, couldn't see what Brian Flores was seeing, saw like, hey man, we drafted this guy up high, we're paying him a lot of money, you're talking brutally to him, Tua can't handle it, the players in the locker room think it's weird. That's my takedown of Tua Tagovailoa. He's the problem. He's the why Mike McDaniel sounds like a man that's high on cocaine and fentanyl. Because he knows he's going to pay the price. He's going to be another coach that pays the price for Tua Tagovailoa. Tua is a coach killer. Tua is Glass Joe. He needs to retire from the National Football